This is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM. We have with us today a very special guest from VentureHub. He is founder Andreas Vassilos. Good morning, Andreas. How are you today?
Good morning. You're my wizard for the morning, right?
Yes, I am.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to do it.
Oh, thank you. Could you describe VentureHub, what it does, and your role in this not-for-profit?
Sure. We're a not-for-profit incubator, a 501c3, that is sort of the culmination of my serial entrepreneurship. I've started companies since I was a kid, ran companies all through college, and now it's time to give back. It's my 9th venture, and 8 different types of companies have been my background, and I've got a great team of mostly volunteer people, and it's a mission of love to give back to people, especially on the Northwest side. We have we're in a TIF district, an enterprise zone, and a hub zone, and what that means is there's a lot of unemployment. So the unemployment is high, and we help companies create jobs instead of getting jobs. So we're an incubator that is unusual in that we take all kinds of business. It doesn't matter if you're a cement layer or a plumber or electrician, CPA. We've incubated a number of attorneys out of our space, coffee roasters, all manner of businesses. We encourage them, especially we like people that create jobs because the neighborhood really needs it. So it got its birth in the past recession, trying to help companies stay alive. It started out as a for-profit venture to keep a lot of subs that I had in my businesses alive, and it morphed into a not-for-profit with the encouragement of the SBA. They came in and saw what we were doing. We're very excited about it, and we've incubated over 35 companies with no funding in the last 3 years. We're in our 4th year now, so it's an exciting, dynamic adventure to help people grow and prosper. We say it's the place where companies go to meet and grow.
It seems like it's a work of love. So just for informational purposes for our listeners, could you describe what TIF does?
Well,
businesses?
TIF is a designated area where they take the tax dollars and they reinvest them into the community to try and stimulate growth and businesses. So we're in a TIF district just west on the north side of Fullerton Avenue on 4600 West. We just started a launch party on the 4th of July to build our second incubator because we filled up our first one. We've, as I said, had 35 successes of inspiring businesses to grow and prosper, and now we want to build a specialized building that's just for our roundtables and our incubation methods, which include a peer perspectives and a lot of wisdom around the table in our roundtables. So we help companies by networking people and bringing wisdom from the experience of seasoned people to all manner of businesses. So it's the sharing of experience that makes us unique.
Do businesses have to pay into extra tax for the TIFs, or do residents?
I
helps
see.
The businesses?
A TIF district is a designation of an area that's the tax dollars get set aside in a separate fund and they get reinvested into the area. A hub zone is a historically underutilized business area. So it's an area of high unemployment. So the government entities try to stimulate business in these areas. We haven't had any success getting funding. Everything we've done has been funded internally, and from small donations we've succeeded in getting, and from the support of our management team donating a lot of time. Mm-hmm. We've got a great team of people that are MBAs, CPAs, business leaders. The managing director's got a counseling and degree in transition counseling, so he's a professional counselor. So we help coach people with the experience of other businesses. Everybody shares their experience, which is found to be the best way to learn, not by someone being a guru or a mentor, just telling someone what to do, but sharing your personal experience, how it worked, how it didn't work. And also we have what we call an I team, which is a implementation team, which helps people with specific issues.
Is this your first not-for-profit, or did you have others?
Yeah, it's my first not-for-profit. I've had 8 companies that I started, all of them in different areas, different challenges. So as a serial entrepreneur, I try to challenge myself to learn new things. So great depth of experience starting 8 for-profit companies, and this is a way to, at this point in my career, to give back to the community, give back to, just in a more spiritual, loving sense, to give back to people instead of making money the primary concern. We make the success of others the primary concern at the Venture Hub.
So when you were operating and running and starting your other businesses, did any other business incubator help you along?
No, we never had the benefit of that. It was always an adventure of discovery. And one of the main things that people don't understand about giving help to other people is the most valuable help, the most beneficial thing we can offer them is the assistance in not screwing up, not making the mistakes. That's the biggest problem in starting a company, is tripping over stones that other people have already tripped over. So it's not just what to do, but what not to do is just as valuable, and many times more valuable, because you can eat up a lot of your time and energy and money doing something and going down the rabbit hole of in the wrong direction. So a great benefit is to have seasoned people that you associate with in the Venture Hub, not only our implementation team, but the other members of the Venture Hub, so that you don't make mistakes.
You said something about before the hub zone, or what did you apply for money and then you didn't get, and then you had to finance a lot of the operations on your own. What kind of money were you trying to apply for?
Well, the SBA came in with a great deal of enthusiasm and excitement, and they said this business center that you have here, where basically it was helping a lot of companies that I had relationships with in the past survive the recession. They said, oh, there's lots of federal, state, and city money to help you with that. You should make this a not-for-profit. So we went down that path. We created a not-for-profit and found out that it's very, very, very difficult to get funding. And there aren't a lot of ways. But fortunately, my business and the business sense of the people on the team helped us weather that storm over the last 3 years. And we've self-funded primarily with some small donations from a few banks, our benefactors, Devon Bank, small banks that have helped us out, Providence Bank, especially community members. The GNCDC members have come to our aid and donated some money. So,
could you explain the acronym to our listeners?
Oh, the acronym that's the Greater North Chicago Development Corporation.
Yes.
They're most of the businesses on the Northwest Side. My managing director, Jim, was the former chief executive director of that organization. So we have a lot of connections in the community, a lot of connections to other chambers of commerce and business organizations, but especially the businesses. They love to help us out in whatever small ways they can, but we haven't had any significant funding, so mostly it's been a labor of love.
Well, if I'm just curious, if the Small Business Center would not fund you, then what do they fund instead of something like Venture Hub?
Well, the SBA is
the
Small Business Administration is a government agency that advises, and thought there would be a lot of money and thought it would be easy, but you really need a full-time staff just for generating donations and fundraising if you're going to do the kind of work we're doing on a large scale. So we survived by being very creative and tapping on a lot of shoulders and getting small amounts of support, like the fundraiser on the 4th of July. We're going to start a building fund for our new incubator just by networking with people. But the big grants that you really need to sustain an organization, we haven't been able to do that. There's a little known secret that typically agencies want to see you survive 3 years or so before they'll even consider funding you. Nobody says that, but you get a lot of what you call soft no's in the not-for-profit industry. So it's you better be prepared. I see one of your questions is about people wanting to start a not-for-profit. It is not easy to get funding. So unless you have deep pockets or a strong passion and don't need to support yourself, I would seriously consider doing something for a while and getting some reserves of cash, or doing it out of passion. Passion will take you a long way in the world.
So you mentioned collaborating with chambers of commerce and other community organizations. So besides holding events such as fundraisers, how else do you collaborate with these organizations?
One of the other exciting things that we do is we have launch parties. And a launch party is something that introduces the businesses that we incubate, introduces our members to the broader community. So we have decades of relationships with chambers of commerce and business groups and political leaders in the community. And we invite all of these people that actually have the money and have businesses and who could employ the new businesses that are in our incubator. We invite them to a fun party. And by a fun party, what our secret sauce is, we call it our secret sauce of arts. We bring in visual arts, creative arts, artists that are muralists, people that do paintings. We have DJs, live music. We've incubated a lot of musicians out of the Venture Hub as well. Okay. And we bring and have a number of parties every year where we invite the community in, and they get to meet the new entrepreneurs, and they can establish business relationships that they normally wouldn't be able to get. They get to meet people at a higher level than is normally available to them as a startup. So when the owner of a very large company comes to a party and he's having a good time, and you can meet someone socially, it's a much better way to launch a business into the community. One of the myths is that you can have a lot of skills and you can have a great product and you can make it, but without customers, it's just a dream. So one of the things that the Venture Hub does that's unusual is we have launch parties, which when our entrepreneurs are ready and they're ready to be launched, we throw a big party. And then all the members of the Venture Hub get to attend the party and bring their friends, and also businesses, community members, politicians. Everybody comes in and mixes in a fun atmosphere, and you get business. So it's all about generating revenue and creating wealth and jobs in the community. So that's what we do. So part of our secret sauce are these launch parties that are fun.
So when you have a launch party, is that to launch one business, or is it sometimes multiple businesses at one party?
It's usually one or two. We focus and we feature one or two businesses, and we have a small introduction, and I, as the managing director and the executive director, we both introduce them specifically to a number of businesses that could use their services. So we try to limit it to one or two businesses that are ready to take that leap into the community, into getting bigger contracts. Excuse me. One of our success stories was a contractor that did paving and cement work and those big sewers outside. So we deal with all kinds of businesses. And he was from an ethnic background and couldn't speak English, certainly couldn't manage large contracts, didn't know how to write a contract for a national account that needed all the wording and the insurance forms filled out.
Well, how did Venture Hub help him overcome these setbacks?
Well, they're not setbacks. They're the normal stuff in business growth. But because of his language skills, we coached him and we introduced him to a national, actually an international company, and he got contracts to redo their parking lots and redo their broken sewer systems, and just the coaching of how to fill out the contracts and he had the insurance, he just didn't know how to present it in the right format and do a submission of a proposal, a request for RFP, a request for proposal. So we did that, and he got jobs larger than he'd ever gotten in his life. So he got out of only serving that ethnic community into serving a larger deeper pocket community, and he's very successful today. So he's one of our success stories. So we take all kinds of businesses, as I said, from lawyers and CPAs and MBAs to coffee roasters, veterans, disabled people, anybody that needs to create wealth and create power and create jobs instead of just getting a job. We specialize in people that have a passion to do anything. So
this is the top of the hour. It is WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM, and we are speaking with Business Incubator VentureHub's founder and managing person,
Executive Director,
Andreas Vassilos.
Thank you.
Thank you. And also, so I am curious for that contractor, if did you coach him so that he learned more English and was able to function better on his own, or did he have to hire people to help him with those contracts?
It was pretty much a submission process of the technical paperwork that he needed help with. He speaks the language of his work, and he's an expert in his work. He just didn't have the skills to navigate the world of a larger business. So he was sort of locked into doing business in his community of people. So we gave him a bunch of skills in terms of just doing the paperwork, and more importantly, the connections to those businesses that he never would have been able to connect to. So
yes, networking is important.
Networking is the key, especially when you're a small, young business, to getting people to give you a break and to try you out.
How long did it take you to help him reach that point? Was it over a year, in a year, or just over several?
It was pretty quick. It was, we put the word out. We feature people in announcements in the chambers of commerce. We send out notices to the political people in the neighborhood. We have our own mailing list and email list that my managing director's been in the area for 30 years. I've been in the area for more than 40 years. So we have a good database of the larger companies, and we just keep them informed of who's coming through our incubator and if they need those services. So they're much more likely to take the services knowing that we've pre-vetted the individuals, whether it's a lawyer, a CPA, or a parking lot paver, it doesn't matter. They know that we've tested them out before we send them on to a bigger company, so they might have a chance at a bigger contract or a bigger business opportunity. For
lawyers and CPAs, what difficulties do they have in their business? Just they need more networking, more referrals, or sometimes something else?
Well, those are really referral businesses, and to meet people socially at our launch parties and to be introduced to a network of people that they trust us and we trust them, they're willing to, a CEO of a decent-sized company wouldn't consider changing his CPA or lawyer unless it came from someone like myself or my managing director, or people that have tried them out and seen how they work and know their background and have coached them into correct business practices. Then they get a shot because that CEO is more comfortable with them. So it's not just that people are in our incubator, but we see how they work. We network with them. We have them in our roundtables that helps develop their skills and sharpen their tools and their business tool belt. And they just become more seasoned and more appropriate to get a referral. And not everybody gets a referral. We're not going to refer someone who happens to be a member of our VentureHub. We try them out. We use them in some of our functions. We see how they work. We see their work habits, and then we recommend them.
So how long does business usually spend at VentureHub before they're ready to
Well,
be
we've
launched?
only been around a few years, and we've seen that they leave when they've run out of space. If they're a manufacturer, we've had auto parts reconditioning companies, and their business grew. We've had, as I said, coffee roasters. So as they outgrow our space rather, then it's appropriate for them to move on. And some of them, if they have an office-based business, they may never want to leave because they go from someone that's being nurtured and we help their development to someone who can help the next generation, the next wave of people that come into the Venture Hub. So 3 to 24 months is somewhere in the ball game, but there's never like an office share kind of business, someone that just needs a space where they have a sense of community and a place to go and a fun environment, and they can keep networking at launch parties. They may never want to leave, but somebody that's a manufacturer, he may grow his business and leave in 6 to 12 months. So it just depends. We take all types of business, and we find that there's much more openness when people can share their experience in different areas. And by shared experience, each business takes a little bit from this person's wisdom, a little bit from that industry, a little bit from this industry, and they decide what to do in their own field. And that's the most valuable kind of wisdom, what has worked for other people.
So the businesses that are using VentureHub, they actually have VentureHub as their business address then?
Exactly. And some small businesses need that. If you're a contractor or someone that wants to have a location in the city of Chicago, wants to have a brick and mortar place, they want to have a place where they can come and have meetings, they want to be able to take someone to lunch and not be meeting in Starbucks or whatever and be seen as someone who's not really stable. It really helps them to grow and to actually have a foundation that's more stable, not just a peer stable, but actually to be more stable.
Then the rent must be much more affordable by being at VentureHub. But of course, do they pay for the services that you offer them? That you as you nurture them along, how do they
everything
pay?
is good question, and it's very specific. Everything is by donation. So we have suggested donation by the amount of space you use up. All of the other offerings we have, the roundtable, the iGroup consulting, everything is a la carte. So basically you come in there and you can operate on your own and nobody bothers you. We just have a supportive environment. But if you need help, it's available. So there's no fee for anything you don't use, but everything's available to you. So you have all the basic business stuff, the Wi-Fi, the internet, the bike racks, everything you could use to run a business, and the phones, everything is included in the rent. So you get to use what you need and not be charged for anything you don't.
Then how do you select the businesses that you accept into VentureHub? It sounds like it was so helpful that a lot of businesses would want to avail themselves to VentureHub. So how do you choose who to help, which ones to help?
Well, we love to see passionate people. We love to see people with an idea who want to come into an environment that's juiced up and excited about people with good ideas and have a passion for what they're doing. A lot of people come to us and they've talked to their friends and their family, and people are full of all the reasons why a business won't work. Oh, you can't do that. Businesses fail, this and that. That's not what an entrepreneur needs. He needs someone to be an advocate, a champion, someone who's backing him up, and those are the kind of people we like, not just someone who's looking for an inexpensive place to operate. So we really look for passionate people who have an idea and the will to make things happen and the will to overcome any difficulty they may encounter, because there's a million reasons why a business won't work, and there's a narrow path to success, but we like people that take up the challenge and are excited about being on the narrow path, and we're there to back them up and champion their cause.
Do you ever help businesses with patent applications?
We have a number of attorneys that we've incubated, and a 47-year track record of being in business for ourselves, and we've got lots of connections out in the community, both legal, professional, accounting, political. So by being around a long time, it's a great value, and we find an exciting benefit of younger, less experienced people mixing with older, experienced people, because they bring excitement, they bring creativity, they bring what's new to the table. The older businesses bring the experience and the connections. So that mix of all different types of businesses and all different levels of experience is very dynamic and fun, as opposed to some other organizations and incubators, I won't mention them, but they tend to be very monolithic, and they have all the same types of business, and those people have the same contacts and the same perspectives and the same view on how to do things. So you don't get that questioning for some idea that comes in from left field and gets you jazzed up. Oh, that's a unique way to do it, or I can bring this, or have you ever thought of something that applied to a construction business using it in the CPA world? You know, we did this marketing idea, and a guy over here who's a lawyer, he might have an idea because he's got an unusual client and he helped them with something. So ideas can come in from anywhere. So it's wonderful to see these roundtables, and they're almost always a variety of very different businesses. So it's much more eclectic and much more dynamic than if you have a place where there's just one type of business.
How often do you hold roundtables for your businesses?
They're every other week because business people are busy and they have to dedicate a chunk of time. They're 3 to 4 hours long, depending on the roundtable. Right now, we have open applications for a new roundtable we're opening, and we've got one roundtable where a few people have graduated out, so we've got a couple spaces in an existing roundtable. We keep it from 4 to 10 people max, and then we split it to 2 roundtables if the enrollment gets too big. But right now we want to have a new roundtable and a second roundtable. Our one existing roundtable has just had a couple people graduate out, so we have a couple slots available in that one.
What do you mean by graduate out? Do they feel that they've learned enough so that they could move on and then operate on their own without having to participate at the roundtable?
Yes, and truth be told, there's two reasons why people leave the roundtable. One is their success is so great that they are too busy and they just don't have the time to do it, and they've got enough experience and they've got enough mojo, they've got enough new developments going on that they have to focus on their business in that way, and they want to take a hiatus. Some people have left the roundtable and come back to it a year later when they found they hit another plateau of frustration and they needed some advice. But mostly it's business success, but it's also sometimes people don't want to be challenged. People think they know what they want to do and they can't take success. Some people are self-defeating. So truth be told, sometimes people quit the roundtable because they don't want to face people telling them that they have to look at who they are and that they might be the limiting factor in their growth. So it cuts both ways. Some people drop out of the roundtable because they're happy with the status quo and they don't really want to grow. They want to talk the talk but not walk the walk. And other people do grow and they graduate out because they're so busy and so successful.
Do any of your roundtable, or any of your businesses, if they no longer are at VentureHub, do they tend to come back to sometimes help if you need them?
Oh, sure. We've got people on our advisory boards that have been members. We've got people on our actual board of directors that are former members. One of our success stories is a CPA MBA who struggled through the economy. He worked for other companies. He tried to go out on his own. He had a lot of difficulty. He did it during the recession. We got him through the recession. His business grew. He developed all sorts of strategies for using social networks and meetups to grow his business. And now his business is booming. And now he's our CFO as well. So he's been a great success story and turned his career around and is now successful in advising other people.
From what industries do most of your clients derive?
Well, that's just what I'm saying is we're eclectic in our approach. Anyone that creates jobs is a favorite, and anyone that has some business experience and has got frustrations, it's better to work with something that someone who has gotten experience and has tried different things and they've got a certain level of frustration and a certain level of success. It's better to take them to the next level than a pure startup. So we do work with startups, but we prefer people that have gotten some success and some business under their belt. Now, it could be someone who started businesses in high school and college and now they're ready for a new idea, or it could be someone that's got a few years of business success under his belt after school. But we take all comers. We look for the passion and the desire to succeed.
Is it because they are those that have the most passion can contribute the best to these roundtables?
It varies because there's wise owls at the table too. There are people that have a lot of experience and are at a point in their career they want to give back, and they have a lot of connections and a lot of business ability and customers, clients, good relationships, and they are just at a point in their career that they're happy to help. And a calm consultant type, a wise person is also very beneficial to a new person with a lot of passion. So it runs the gamut at the VentureHub.
So this is what distinguishes VentureHub from other incubators and accelerators. You said that they were more monolithic. They don't have roundtables?
Well, they don't have roundtables. They don't use the wisdom of the peers around the table. So our facilitation is a trained professional facilitation that we've adapted to smaller businesses, but it's mostly for larger second stage companies, and it's modeled on the wisdom of the individuals around the table. So there's no directing someone from a person of authority. We have a lot of business experience in our back pocket, but we use that on the implementation team. If someone has a specific need, we can help them out with the implementation team. But the roundtable itself is the wisdom of the individuals around the table, and people only speak from their experience. So it's a very powerful thing and very unique in the world of roundtables that you have the wisdom is from the participants.
Are there novices there too that take in this
right,
this wisdom?
But it's amazing how many people with passion usually and a desire to do business, whether it's starting a not-for-profit or a for-profit company, they usually have some business background in their family, in their past. They're people that started paper routes or businesses when they were kids, or had apps, or were trading stocks when they were too young to do it. They usually have relevant experience. And in today's world with the social media and other ways of connecting with people, they may not have a lot of business experience, rubber meeting the road in one area, but they might have a lot of experience in another area.
So what advice do you have for student entrepreneurs, since you've seen so much already?
We love student entrepreneurs. I was a student entrepreneur, as I was mentioning.
How old were you?
Earlier. Well, I started my first company when I was 15, started working when I was 13. I started you did a piece earlier about toxins and cleaning chemicals. I started what we called a non-toxic, non-polluting cleaning chemical company. I took a year off of college in 1975, 20 years before the green chemical movement was even a word or a term. We were making non-toxic, non-polluting chemicals because my earlier venture was a cleaning company. I didn't want my cleaning people using toxins, and I didn't want myself to be using toxins or anyone in my family. So I created a line of chemicals that the large retail chains and industrial users, they use. So it was a commercial line of chemicals, not for retail sale, but wonderfully in the commercial area, you have to disclose all the component chemicals and all the hazards, but in retail, there's no disclosure requirements. It's kind of counterintuitive. 20 years before green chemicals were invented, that term, we were making non-toxic, non-polluting cleaning chemicals. So I took a year off of college to do that. So the passion of a student is what's important, the view of what's missing in the world, that niche that you can exploit. Whatever you see, bring that passion to us, and we're going to be your champions and not the naysayers that you're going to run into. All the people, there's 100 people for every one that's going to champion your cause. There's 100 that'll tell you why it won't work. But we're the team and the crew that will cheer you on and help you find ways to make it work.
So for those 35 businesses which you helped, how many are still at inside the VentureHub space, and how many have moved on?
Almost all of them have moved on. We incubate them, and that's like an incubator for little baby chicks. So you get them going, and they get some some confidence and some ability and some connections and some clients, and then they move on. So we're very proud that almost all of them have moved on. We're building a new incubator, and that's our 4th of July launch party was about that. We collected some funds at the grassroots level to build a new building adjacent to what we call our party yard, which is the yard we use to launch businesses in the summertime. So we have a lot in the city, and we want to build an incubator for that. So we're looking for new businesses and some funding to build a new building to incubate our next group of entrepreneurs.
For the artists, and you, Blanche Black, a jazz artist, sang for you, sang for the launch.
She did. She's a wonderful example of someone that started a career, reignited her very successful rock and roll career. She got into retail and is successful in that, and spiritual healing, and now she's a jazz artist that released a CD. So we've promoted her and helped her move out into the larger world and be more visible. So
she was one of your clients then?
Sort of, in a tangential way. She's helped us as much as we've helped her with her inspiring music. She's helped us by bringing her music to some of our launch parties. She wasn't an official member of the VentureHub, but we promote her anyway because she's given us so much. We give back to those that help us.
So what advice do you have for students who want to work in a not-for-profit?
Don't do it. Unless you have a great passion, know some unique niche to exploit that's fundable, and have ways to get that funding, unless you're politically connected or have very deep pockets. If you're a student who's independently wealthy, or have independently wealthy contributors, I would say wait until you're a little more seasoned before you start a not-for-profit. It's a long, difficult slog in Illinois because a lot of the funding has been cut. And that's part of our mission at the VentureHub, is we work with other not-for-profits to help them generate alternative revenue streams. So one of our missions is, in our roundtables, we have a special one for not-for-profits and special consulting for not-for-profits to help them generate revenue streams where their revenue has been cut. They typically just expect state and federal agencies and city agencies to fund them, and when that funding gets cut, they don't know what to do. So we help them envision and implement alternative revenue streams. But those are mostly for bigger, more established not-for-profits. It could be for startups. We just haven't seen startups that have enough passion to overcome the funding difficulty, but you never know.
So why has funding been cut? Is it on account of Illinois problems, or is just belt tightening across the board in government?
It's both. Illinois is a particular example of extreme belt tightening and funding cuts. They have no concern for the people that need money the most, and those are the people that not-for-profits usually help. So we've stepped up and implemented programs to help not-for-profits generate alternative revenue streams by being more entrepreneurial. It's like teaching a new language to some of these executive directors to create revenue streams and to think about business. But a lot of them think profit and business are bad words, but everything happens once a sale is made, and you can't always count on the government, as we've seen in the last number of years, that the government sometimes steps back and stops funding.
So if the government doesn't put money in a community where it's needed, like in creating jobs, then have you done anything politically to perhaps get new people in who do appreciate creating more jobs and better development of a community?
We're in the 31st Ward, and we're just delighted to have Millie Santiago as our alderwoman. She is so pro-business and positive and energetic. Our last alderman was in the old school of punishing businesses and, demanding donations and so on. So we're very excited about Millie and her participation and positive attitude, and she's working with us. The Arroyos are wonderful supporters of the Venture Hub, and we're just starting to go down that path to work with them to try to get some funding. And as I said, a lot of organizations like to see a not-for-profit succeed and stay in business for that 3-year mark. So we're in our 4th year now. So,
congratulations.
yeah, thank you. So we didn't know it at the time when we started it, but a lot of not-for-profits don't make it past year 2, so they kind of wait for the 4th year to come around to start paying attention and see that you're the real deal. So we've got quite a track record of success now, and it's all been self-funded. Now we're ready to take it to the next level.
For Alderman Santiago and for the Arroyos, have they supported any legislation that you could impart to our listeners so that they could they could speak with and contact their legislators to support that legislation that helps businesses and helps the local economy?
I know that Millie is very proactive in getting businesses in her ward, and so are the Arroyos, but we have to I have to defer to them. I can't speak for them. Anyone interested, they're very open to talk to people. I would just go on their open. Millie has a ward night, and the Arroyos, you can call for an appointment, and they're very happy to talk to any constituent in their ward or in their Mr. Arroyo is a state rep, and his son is a Cook County rep.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's give because some of our listeners might not be politically savvy. So what ward and what neighborhood is Millie Santiago in? And describe the Arroyo's territory, like the...
Sure. The Millie Santiago has her office north of Fullerton on Pulaski Avenue. It's like 2600 north, and ward night is Monday night, so you can go there and just have a chat with her or her chief of staff. Mm-hmm. The Arroyos are further west on Fullerton, about, 50-something hundred west, and he's a state rep, and his son is a Cook County rep. So you could just call their office and sit down with them and chat with them. So the best way to do this kind of work is with direct personal contact. Don't send emails, don't text them. You can do all that, but the best thing to do is to pull on your big guy pants or your big girl pants and go and meet them and get some FaceTime, and you'll find it's rewarding.
Mm-hmm. And they like that too.
They like it too. They're very personable people. They're people, and they like to talk to people that are out there. And if you're going to be successful in a not-for-profit world, you have to be a networker. So you might as well start with those people, and they're just wonderful to talk to and get to know.
Okay, so how do businesses or startup contact Venture Hub, and at what point do they know that they need your services? Is it just when maybe several problems come up? Is there any point where absolutely you could help them, and it's a good time for them to contact you?
The time to contact is when it's aligned, when their frustration with what they're doing, they've hit a stone wall, or their business isn't succeeding the way they wanted to, or they have an issue that they can't wrap their mind around or can't get good counsel on. Call our office number and set up an appointment. It's 773-772-7300. It's kind of a easy to remember, lucky number, so a lot of sevens. 773-772-7300, and set up an appointment.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much, Andreas Vassilos, for joining WZRD Chicago 88.3 FM today with so much advice for businesses, startups, and a very detailed description of what business incubators do. And thank you for your great work for the community.
Thank you so much. And it's wonderful to be here with the wizard of the radio. So I had a great time. I appreciate your time and your efforts.
Thank you.